beautiful homemakers. In a moment, we are going to continue with Pamphlet 1 of the original Fascinating Womanhood pamphlets, and we're going to begin Chapter 2. But before that, I wanted to mention that the single men I know who are looking for a worthy woman say that they just can't find a woman who passes their judgment stage. They feel that attractive women are gold diggers, and they simply can't be trusted. They don't like how many women act. They don't like their cussing. They don't like the way they dress. They don't want to marry women that sleep around. Men also view many women today, especially in America, as crazy, and they have no desire to marry them. Women are so easy today that many men have no need to marry. However, if they do end up finding a woman who is their ideal, then they would marry them. They just can't find her. So if you feel that you are the one in the million girl and you're looking for your high-quality man, then these pamphlets will help you find him by doing the things that men love, that attracts them, and that pass the judgment stage. It will help you eliminate the behaviors that repel men. These pamphlets are wordy because they're directed at really intelligent, worthy women. Most women are not going to be able to get through these pamphlets because they'll get bored. Their attention span is too short. They don't really care. They're just looking for a boyfriend. They are not looking for a worthy man. So if you're looking for a quick how-to guide, like a magazine-style article, know that that is not going to help you. Right now, we're going to get into the real scoop. This is Chapter 2, Why Men Are Hard to Win. Since we know that this art of winning men can be mastered, and since we are determined upon making ourselves experts in the art, the thing for us to do is to take a bird's-eye view of the problem before us and to determine in a general way our plan for attacking it. Then, when we get down to details, as we must in later chapters, we shall have a more accurate comprehension of the goal at which we are aiming, of the difficulties that lie in our path, and of the vast importance of some factors which might otherwise appear trifling. At first glance it would seem an easy matter to win a single man out of many millions, but a little thought will soon disclose that a very small proportion of unmarried men are really eligible for matrimony. For the purpose of analysis, let us set apart from the many millions of average unmarried men 300 whom you have met, or whom you can meet if you try. In small communities, of course, 100 might be a more probable figure. But since the proportions would be approximately the same under our analysis, whether the number is 100 or 300, we will confine our survey to the latter figure. Of these 300, about 150, we will say, are between the ages of 21 and 30, 100 between the ages of 30 and 40, and 50 between the ages of 40 and 50. How many eligible men are there? As the first group of men are just getting started in the world, at least 80 of them are not earning enough to consider marriage. 10 are earning enough, but have dependent parents or other prohibitive obligations, and 10 are in poor health. Only 50 out of 150, therefore, are eligible for matrimony. Of these, as 20 are already securely engaged, only 30 are vulnerable to the designs of unattached women. In the second group, consisting of 100 unmarried men between the ages of 30 and 40, there will be perhaps about 30 economically incompetent, 10 with dependents or other obligations, and 10 in poor health. Out of 100, therefore, you have 50 eligible men. But on account of their advancing age, at least 30 of the 50 will already be engaged. This leaves only 20 for matrimonially inclined young women to pounce upon. In the third group, consisting of 50 unmarried men between the ages of 40 and 50, 10 perhaps will be economically unfit, 15 will be in poor health, and 5 will be handicapped by dependence or other insuperable obligations. As 10 out of the remaining 20 will no doubt be engaged, only 10 are left open to the wiles of determined women. When these figures are summarized, the result is rather discouraging. Out of the 300 unmarried men, 180 are unprepared for matrimony, and 60 of the remainder are already engaged. This leaves then, out of 300, just 60 men vulnerable to the strategy of matrimonially inclined young women. And those 60, needless to say, are constantly in a state of siege. The prospects of marriage. When, on the other hand, we seek to find what proportion of unmarried women are really eligible for matrimony, we meet with quite a different result. Roughly speaking, the number of men and the number of women is the same. For these 300 men whom we have set apart for the purpose of analysis, there should be therefore 300 unmarried women. Of these, none need to be eliminated because of economic handicaps, because the women, unlike the men, will seldom find a lack of earning ability a bar to marriage. Neither need any be eliminated for reasons of health. It is only the economic aspect of poor health that makes it an obstacle to men. But, in order to be conservative, we will eliminate the same number of women on the basis of health as we did men, 35. This, however, is all that need be eliminated. Except for these 35, the entire group is eligible for marriage. This means that 265 women are at hand for the 120 eligible men to choose from. But 60 of the men and 60 of the women are already engaged. In fact, therefore, there are 205 women for only 60 men. For every available man, there are from 3 to 4 girls. For the vast majority of girls, under these circumstances, the prospect of marriage is remote, if not hopeless. But here's the thing. Today, men are saying there's lots of eligible girls, but they don't want me because I'm not handsome enough. I'm not rich enough. And there are many eligible men that are older, but women are so fickle, they're swiping away because he's not over 6 foot tall, or he doesn't drive a sports car, or they don't like his beard, or whatever. What your own chances are. Because marriage is unattainable to the vast majority, however, is no reason why it should be unattainable to you. Remember that in the 205 women from whom the 60 men have to choose are types attractive and unattractive, amiable and disagreeable, young and old, clever and ignorant. It isn't as if all these 205 competitors of yours had all your advantages. Let us imagine, for instance, that you are a girl of 28, neat-looking though not beautiful, with a fairly good disposition, and with a brain clever enough to understand and practice the principles outlined in this work. In the first place, you will have the advantage of all your competitors over 30 years of age. That eliminates about 80 of them. Successful men typically are in their 30s and 40s, and their first pick will always be women in their 20s, and if those girls are too dumb, then they'll up the age to 28 to 35. In the second place, you have the advantage of all your competitors with ugly or repulsive dispositions, which repulsive dispositions is what men are really having trouble with these days when they see women. That will eliminate about 20 more, and in your case today, that's going to eliminate a lot more than 20. In the third place, your neat appearance and your lack of pink or purple or blue hair will put out of the running many of the carelessly dowdy competitors, or have tattoos, which are a real turn-off to most men. In the fourth place, your cleverness certainly ought to give you the advantage of your grossly stupid and ignorant competitors. That will be about 20 women. Altogether, therefore, you have, if you are the kind of girl described, the advantage over the 160 of the 205 unmarried women. In short, you are one of the 45 women most likely to win one of the 60 available men. 45 women, 30 men. In calculating your own chances, however, you must remember that some of these 60 men are too young, too old, too disagreeable, or too ignorant. Only about 30 being really acceptable to you and your 44 competitors. You will figure yourself then not as one of 205 women with 60 men to go around, but as one of 45 women with 30 men to go around. In enabling you to become one of these 45, your age, your neat appearance, your good disposition, and your cleverness have given you a much better chance of winning a man than the average girl has. In fact, since the 30 men will not necessarily choose the prettiest girls among the 45, and since the men all have individual personal tastes that are as likely to apply to you as to any of the others, you have, with the exception of the 10 or 12 remarkably beautiful girls, as good a chance of captivating one of these 30 men as any girl in the group. But you have an equally good chance of being left among the 15 girls who are bound to be frozen out. And don't think that all high-quality men go just for looks. That is what is going to attract them first. But how you treat them, how you act around others, can they introduce you to his parents? How do you react with their friends? And in business situations and at parties? And will you be a good wife? Will you be a good mother? They consider all these things. I think if you are listening to this book, you are probably one of the high-quality, worthy women that they are indeed looking for. Since you don't want to be counted among the 15 unlucky girls, it is evident, inasmuch as you have no natural advantages over your 45 competitors, that you must acquire an artificial advantage. If you can acquire an artificial advantage that will eliminate 15 or more of them from the contest, so far as you are concerned, you will be absolutely certain of being included among the 30 girls who will win a man. What is the advantage that will do this for you? It is preparedness. If you enter the contest with the knowledge of men and their weaknesses, of how they are won, of the different methods suitable to different characters, and of what makes a woman fascinating to them, it is absurd to imagine that girls without that knowledge can successfully compete with you. You know exactly what you are about. They don't. You make no mistakes. They do. You know exactly where and when to begin. They flounder around without aim or method. You know and use tried and proven ways of attracting attention. They depend upon luck. You know exactly how attention is transformed into interest, interest into desire, and desire into action. They have not even the vaguest understanding of these matters. You have ways of telling just at what stage of the procedure the man is, and can accordingly do the right thing to help matters along. They don't know whether they are at the beginning, the middle, or the end, and are afraid to make a move. But why go farther? It is plain to anyone that a girl with a knowledge of the problem before her, with well-laid plans and long-proved methods of overcoming it, has, over a girl without such thorough preparation, an advantage that is almost overwhelming. In your attempt to win a man, such an advantage is your safest reliance and your surest guarantee of success. It is impossible to conceive of an average girl, with the aid of such preparedness, being unable to captivate one poor lonely man. How the eligible list is increased! In the above analysis, we have taken it for granted that you will want only a man who can well afford to take care of a wife, a man in good health, a man without burdensome obligations, and a man very desirable in every other respect. We have, in other words, chosen the 30 most eligible men out of 300, and have shown you what your chances are for winning one of these. For the average girl, such as we have described, the chances, if she will use her brains and apply her knowledge, are very good indeed, chiefly because other girls don't think of using their heads or of relying upon plan and method. Even for a woman of 35, the chances, although not quite as good, are fair enough to make the effort worth while, as the competition for the older men is not so keen as the competition for the younger men. And if you're in your 40s or even 50s and are either divorced or you've never been married, you can still win them by just knowing what attracts and what repels them, and how to speak to them in a way that uplifts them instead of makes them despondent. If you are divorced, there's kind of a good chance that you were doing things, and I'm not blaming you for the divorce, but I'm sure you contributed by the way you spoke to your husband and the way you reacted to him. I know I have certainly learned a lot in the last 20 years when I was on my second marriage and I felt in the beginning that it was failing. I went on a deep dive of research to figure out what was I doing wrong. But I could see that I was doing something and I didn't know what, that he was not liking. And I didn't have the original Fascinating Womanhood books, but I did find others that were very helpful. But they all came. All those books on marriage and what men like, they all started with this original Fascinating Womanhood pamphlet. Also, few men will take into account your earning ability. That isn't what they consider, but they will consider your amount of debt. That will be to your detriment. The research shows that men do not want to pay for a spouse's debt. They want that paid off before they're married. If they hide the debt, they consider them to be dishonest, and that's not what they're looking for in a spouse. And if they don't pay it off, then they consider them fickle, especially if they're showing the trappings of wealth, such as having an expensive car, but they're not paying their bills. That's a red warning flag men will run from. Okay, last paragraph. But if you have this good a chance to win one of the 30 most eligible men out of 300, you have 100-fold better chance to win one of the men whom we have set aside as ineligible. Let's take another glance at the men whom we have eliminated because of insufficient earning capacity. There were 80 between 21 and 30 years of age, 30 between 30 and 40 years of age, and 10 between 40 and 50 years of age. In the first group are at least 40, and in the second group 15, who, although not eligible now, will become so within 2 or 3 years, as their earning capacity increases. Add these 55 men to the 30 eligible men already discussed, and you will have 85 men on your eligible list. You, as already brought out, are among the leading 45 women available for these men. It appears as if there were enough, and to spare, for each one of you. It also appears, since at least half of the 45 women are likely to prefer men in the prospectively eligible group, that you, if you persist, can captivate one of the 30 most eligible men out of the 300. We're going to end the video here. Next video we'll start up with Where the Steadfast Worshipper May Be Found.